What do Manchester United need in the remainder of the transfer window? Less than 48 hours to go. A miracle, essentially. Like, some of the rumours are just unbelievable, alright? But let me start this off with how I think our windows went, alright? We have bought exceptionally well. The problem being that we haven't sold very well. We've still yet to replace RVP, Di Maria, Evans, Hernandez, debatably Nani, because Memphis was probably the replacement, but they play on opposite sides. So, yeah, that's 4 or 5 players. What I find literally absurd, particularly about Hernandez, we have sold, well, even RVP and Di Maria, we've sold them before finding adequate replacements or realistic targets that, we've had from the other club, what we've inquired. They've said, look, a deal is possible. Instead of Muller, Bale, Neymar, all these names that are just not feasible for this window, all right? I find it remarkable that we've done that. That is why our transfer window is turning out to be pretty shit, all right? Not because the players we brought in, they all improve us, with the exception of Sergio Romero, but he was free, so I suppose it's not as bad. But anyway, yeah, the players that we brought in are fantastic. We just haven't sold well, all right? And the players we're getting linked to at the minute, you look at Manchester City, all right? They've overspent on 3 players. Certainly they have. 35 million Otamendi, 49 for Sterling, 55 for De Bruyne. Do their fans care? No. All right. Do they improve City? Yes. And are they overpriced? Yes. But their fans don't give a fuck about what money is spent, because ultimately they're going to be the ones who are going to retain the title. Sorry, yeah, get the title back, to be honest. I mean, I see no one else coming anywhere near close. All the teams haven't strengthened as much as City have, all right? And it pains me to say it, but it's true. Their fans really don't care, and they shouldn't, all right? If you go to a City fan and say, oh, look, you've overspent on these players, they'll rightly laugh at you face, because they know that their team is the best in the Premier League. They're not going to care that they've overspent, because they've got an owner who's worth hundreds of billions. So he's not going to be bothered either. It's just ridiculous. And yes, people say we're going to be losing our history if we spend all this. To be honest, we're not. We're still using youth players, all right, but they're just not going to be as much. We're never going to get the class of 92. It's such a shame, but it's not going to happen, all right? Modern times have came in. You've got teams in the Premier League spending 20 odd million plus on players, and that's teams that aren't even in the top 6, all right? And then, well, in the window, they're spending 50, 60 million. You look at Newcastle United, they've spent, I think, 50 million this window, all right? Teams are starting to spend more and more and more. And to catch up, you've got to do the same. Well, to beat them, you've got to spend more, or you've got to get more quality in. Obviously, you can get bargains in this day and age. Of course you can, but for the elite players, you have to pay for them, all right? And you can't rely on youth being developed, because you just don't have time. You'll just be left in the dust, all right? I don't want to see this club happen, what Liverpool happened, what Leeds happened, etc., where they didn't compete with the top end and it just kept falling down. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, all right? But that is why we need to spend. Of course, we're not going to be losing all our history, all right? Because we are going to be using this fantastic youth academy that we've got. Players will be brought in, of course they will. But we need key signings, and we need them now. Players we're getting linked to: Anthony Martial for 36 million. Great potential, right? Yes, I have actually heard of him, all right? Haven't seen him very much. Great potential. Is he worth 36 million? Fuck no. And to be honest, for that price, there are so many players we could get for even slightly more, all right? Let's just think of the forwards available that are relatively young for 50 million or under, all right? If you tested the club's resolve with a bid, you've got Lacazette, you've got Fekir, you've got Icardi, Aubameyang, Griezmann. It has a 56 million pound release clause. That got up from 42 million. If you're getting confused, it got up from 60 million euros, which is about 42 million pounds, to about 80 million euros, which is about 56 million pounds. It's confusing because there's conversions in there, etc. But yeah, his release clause at this present time is 56 million pounds, and I will go after him. But the players I've just named, even Lukaku, for God's sake, all right? Berahino, Austin, they would be players who are cheaper, that would probably be better because they played in the Premier League, all right? Anthony Martial, yeah, he could be great in years to come, but we don't need that. We need results, all right? We've got youth players. We've got Pereira. We've got Januzaj. We've got Wilson. We've got Lingard. Why don't we develop those, give them squad rotation, or backup options in the squad instead of buying these young players. I mean, I can see why we bought Memphis, all right? It was very, very highly sought after. Decent price, hasn't lived up to it yet. Early days though, they're a Eredivisie. We've got a lot of players from there, etc. A lot have been successful for the Premier League, and we did need some pace, so I can understand why we got him. But a 19-year-old, 36 million, I really can't understand that one. And to be honest, it's looking likely, which I just don't get. I mean, there's rumours of Austin. I would love him, all right? If we got Martial and Austin, Martial can play on the right. Whether he would, we'll never know. And whether he would even start. 36 million, probably be a backup, to be honest, in our team, which is just ludicrous. So many other options, as I've been saying throughout this video. In terms of defenders, why not get Garay? 15 to 20 million, all right? Yes, he's played in Russia, but he's certainly got, international pedigree. He's got experience, and for that sort of price, it's worth the risk. All right, surely he's got to be better than Daley Blind, for example, or compete with Marcus Rojo. Give us options. We've sold Evans. He might not have been brilliant. He was fucking dreadful for the last 2 years, but we need replacements. All right, and yeah, it's going to be panic buying, but again, fees. I don't give a fuck. These days, you shouldn't care what you pay for a player. We've done exceptionally well in the window. We've got a net spend of under 0 because Hernandez is getting sold. Potentially even De Gea getting sold. So even if we do splurge, our net spend is still relatively low. So it shouldn't even matter. And even if it wasn't, it wouldn't matter. Because nowadays, money is just getting splurged at everything. And yeah, it's just going to keep happening. So players I would love us to get, but we're not going to, would be Griezmann, Aubameyang and Garay. That would be my perfect window. And I mean perfect because that would sort out the right wing. It would give us options as well because Griezmann can play anywhere at the front line. And also Aubameyang can do similar roles as well. He can play as a winger. He can play up front. But they're not going to happen. Garay isn't going to happen. We'll probably get a couple of players. I reckon we'll get Austin. This Martial thing seems as though it's actually legit. Defender, I don't think so. And if we sell De Gea, perhaps we'll get Keylor Navas in return, but I really don't think anything else. I really hope that we're going to be surprised, pleasantly surprised, but we're going to have to wait and see. So I'll do another video rounding up the transfer window. I'll also do other videos of like the top 20 Premier League transfers that I think have happened in the Premier League and maybe abroad, etc. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, let me know what you think of our window, and peace.